I inherited a house I don't want. What are my options?
Hey guys, I'm Brad, the Probate House Guy. Thanks for checking out this video today. By the way, I am an active real estate investor and a licensed real estate agent in the state of Georgia. And over the last 10 years, I have helped over 300 sellers get their property sold, whether that's a cash deal or listing it for them in the traditional fashion. I made all these videos because we've learned a thing or two about probate and estates over the last 10 years, and I'm just sharing my knowledge with you. By the way, I am not an attorney, nor do I claim to be an attorney, so please don't take anything that I say as legal advice. I highly suggest that you consult with a probate attorney or even a real estate attorney to discuss your unique situation and get some real legal advice from them. If you'd like to chat with us about the options on the property that you've inherited, we'd be happy to talk to you about that. You can go over to probatehouseguy.com and fill out the form there on the page, and a member of our team will be in touch with you ASAP. Anyways, let's get back to the video. Thanks.
So you inherited a house that you don't really want. What are your options? Hey guys, again, I'm Brad, the Probate House Guy. Thanks for watching this video. So you've inherited a house and you don't want it. We deal with that surprisingly all the time. You think, why would someone not want a house? Well, sometimes a house can be a burden. It's expensive to maintain. Maybe it needs a lot of work and they don't really have the money, the time, or the patience to fix the place up or do the repairs. So they might, they don't want it in that case. Maybe they already have a house and they don't want this house. For example, my family, my dad and his sisters are going through the probate process. My grandfather passed away a few months ago. And they are ultimately going to be selling my grandfather's house, the house that they grew up in, the house that I remember going to basically every Sunday as a kid. During the summertime, we would go over there and swim in the pool. We'd go there after church with the family. We'd go over there for Christmas and Thanksgiving and Easter and do Easter egg hunts in the yard. That house that I grew up with and the house that my dad and his sisters grew up in, they're going to be selling that house because they don't really want it. And you could be like, why don't they want it? Well, my dad has his own house. My aunt has her own house. My other aunt that lives down in Florida has her own house. She definitely doesn't want it because she lives all the way down in Florida. So they've inherited this house, really all of the estate, including his other assets and other things, and they don't want it. So they're going to be selling the house because it's an hour's drive for my dad to get over to the house that he grew up in. My aunt lives 5 minutes down the road, which is convenient. And like I mentioned, my other aunt lives all the way down in Florida. So it's just sort of a burden for them to keep this house. So they've decided to sell the house. Obviously, we need to finish the probate process first. Luckily, my grandfather had a will and my aunt was named as executor. So I've been helping my aunt and my dad go through that process with the county that the property's in. And then ultimately me being a real estate agent and also me being an investor and kind of working in this probate realm, I'm going to help them. We're going to list the property for sale once we get all the probate stuff done and we are ready to sell it and have the authority to sell it. So you've got a few choices there with a house you don't want. You can sell it as is. You can fix it up and then sell it. You can keep it. You can rent it out. There's so many different options, right? And, you need to decide what's best for you. Let's kind of work our way backwards. I talked about renting it out. Well, first of all, let's be honest here. I'm looking at you in the eyes. Do you really want to be a landlord? You really need to ask yourself that question. Being a landlord's not easy. I'm a landlord. It's not easy. Sometimes it's easy. You get some good tenants. But man, when you get a bad tenant, it really puts a bad taste in your mouth and you lose faith in humanity. I've had some good tenants over the years, and I've had some terrible tenants. Ironically, all of the terrible tenants were tenants that I inherited by buying a house that already had tenants in place, and they were just terrible human beings. Probably why the other person wanted to get rid of the house, because they were tired of dealing with this person. Now, luckily, I know how to kind of get them out of the house, but you will sometimes lose faith in humanity because you will find a tenant that's just a horrible human being and you don't understand how that person has made it this far in life, and you don't understand how that person survives and how they live in the squalor that they live in or whatever, or how filthy they are. So many things, right? I could tell you a million stories about that. Okay. So you need to be really honest with yourself on whether you want to be a landlord and rent it out. Can you make good money renting a house out? Absolutely. Does it require a lot more maintenance, repairs, and all the things that most people are aware of? Absolutely. Most people don't realize how much maintenance and repairs and all that stuff costs and how much it adds up over time. Especially nowadays with the cost of a roof and an HVAC unit. I mean, you get an HVAC unit go out nowadays in 2026, you're talking about $7,000 to replace just a basic air conditioning system, not even anything with any bells and whistles. I'm talking basic bare bones is about $7,000 nowadays. It's pretty wild. So you've got that. Now keep it. Okay, well, you could keep it. Well, if you're keeping it, hopefully there's not a mortgage on it. You don't have to pay a mortgage. If there is, you need to kind of coordinate whether you can continue to pay the mortgage or not. There are, and I'm not going to get into all the details on this, but there are laws on the books, federal laws that allow definitely a surviving spouse and I think some of the family members to continue to live in the house and make the payment, and that as long as the payments are made and everything's good, they actually can't foreclose, but you do need to notify the bank of that. So you can keep it if there's a mortgage in place. You want to make sure that continues to get paid. And then if there is no mortgage, that's great. You still got to pay the property taxes, though. So make sure you're paying the property taxes. Make sure you keep insurance on the property, that sort of thing. I bought a property last year from a gentleman who his dad had passed away and the insurance had lapsed on the property and he wasn't aware. And then they had an incident in the house and turns out it wasn't insured because the insurance had lapsed. And basically they had a very expensive, very big mess on their hands and no insurance to cover it. So that happens. Now, the other thing, let's talk about fixing it up. You could fix it up and sell it. And what I'll tell everyone is that the best way to get the most amount of money for any house is to fix it up, fix all the things that are broken, make it look nice, make it look pretty, make it look presentable, and list that house on the market with a good real estate agent, and you will always get top dollar for that house. Now, some people don't have the time, the patience, the expertise, the money, that sort of thing to do all those things. So you need to ask yourself, do I have the time? Do I have the patience? Do I have the expertise? And do I have the money to do any and all of these things? If the answer to any of those is no, then maybe you need to figure out if the other ones are enough to make up for that. And money is a big thing, right? If you don't have the money to fix it up, well, how are you going to fix it up, right? We've had people do that where they reach out to us and they're like, we're going to fix it up, and they don't have any money to fix it up. So we call them 2 or 3 years later and they still haven't done anything with the house because they haven't come into any money that they were going to use to fix the house up. So they're just sitting on this house that is continuing to deteriorate over time and it's actually going down in value, not going up in value. So you have to think about that. Can I do that? Do I want to do that? You know, that sort of thing. Now, obviously, you can sell a house as is. And people sell houses as is all the time, like my grandfather's house that I talked about. We're going to be selling that house as is. We are going to do a few things to it. There's a swimming pool in the back that he hasn't opened in quite a few years. Fortunately, he did get the liner replaced a few years ago, but you know, all of us grandkids are grown and it's kind of far away, so we just really didn't get over there anymore to use the pool in the summertime. So he hasn't opened the pool in probably, I think he said it was 4 years. Last time I went to go visit him just probably a month before he passed away. I happened to be in the area, went over to visit him, and we were talking about the pool, and he said, yeah, I'm just not going to open it again this year because, there's no point, right? You guys, no one's using it, and I don't want to have to clean it and maintain it, so I'm just going to keep it closed. So we're going to get the pool open. I think it needs a new pump. Fortunately, it does have a pretty new liner he just replaced a few years ago, so that's good. So we're going to get the pool kind of looking crystal, sparkly clean and stuff. And then we're going to go send somebody over there and just kind of power wash the house and clean it. Fortunately, my grandfather took really good, impeccable care of this home ever since he built it back in 1960-something, and he has always maintained this house, and it is in great condition. It's a little dated inside. It's not modern finishes, but it's in good shape. Someone can move in it tomorrow. Everything works. It's got a new roof on it. It's got new HVAC. It's just a little dated inside, right? So that house, we're going to list it as is. And more than likely, probably some young family who wants to buy sort of a project where they can come in and paint the walls and kind of update it on their own, could buy it and they could move into it and raise a family in there. And we hope that someone raises a family just like, my dad and his sisters were raised in that house. And I went over there as a kid and, at my grandparents' house, that sort of thing. So, you got to think about that. And then if you're selling it as is, you can also sell as is to an investor like me. We obviously buy them as is all the time, every day. And depending on how bad the property is in terms of condition, your only option may be selling to an investor, because sometimes there may be properties that are in such bad condition that selling it to a homeowner won't work, because in many cases, a lot of homeowners are getting a mortgage and the bank may not lend money on it based on the condition of the property. So you got to think about those things. And if you would like to reach out to us and have us look at it and tell you our kind of determination as to, yeah, you could probably sell this as is, or you're probably one to sell to an investor, that sort of thing, we'd be happy to talk to you about that. So I talked about the reasons why someone may not want a house and may want to sell the house, right? Now, we also need to figure out which option makes sense. So I've gone through all the options for you, and I've given you kind of the pros and the cons of each, right? So I'm just run back through you again. You know, selling as is, right? The pros is you don't have to fix anything. The cons of that is you probably won't get as much money as you would selling it all fixed up, right? Now, the pros of fixing it up, you get more money for it. The cons of fixing it up is it costs you time, money, effort, blood, sweat, and tears to fix a house up. Do you want to go through that? I don't know. Let's talk about the pros and cons of keeping it. Well, the pro of keeping it is it's an appreciating asset and it will go up in value over time. So that's good. The cons of that is maybe there's a mortgage on it. You've got to maintain it. You've got the repairs, maintenance, upkeep, that sort of thing. Do you want to deal with that? I don't know. Only you can answer that question. And then lastly, renting it. The pros and cons. The pros are good renter, depreciation write-offs on your taxes, appreciation in value over time. The cons are bad renters. And the worst con is a terrible renter, right? So you got to think about that, dealing with collecting rent and that sort of thing. So I've gone through kind of all those. I hope that's helpful. I hope that gives you a better idea of what you might want to do with this property. And I appreciate you checking out this video. If you'd like to chat with us about your house and what you want to do with it, we'd be happy to talk to you about that. Again, I'm Brad, the Probate House Guy. You can go over to probatehouseguy.com and fill out the form there on our site, and a member of our team will be in touch with you ASAP. Thanks again for checking out this video. Have a great day. Bye-bye.